Well, this is interesting. Jack Coleman, a recovering former liberal journalist from Massachusetts, has a blog over at newsbusters.org, and he quotes me from a little kind of rambling riff that I did on May 16th, in which I was talking about in fact, I'll tell you the business. Back in 1983, Louise and I started a business in Atlanta, Georgia. It was called International Wholesale Travel, Inc. And we did business as Sprayberry Travel and as there was also a cruise business. I forget the name of it. And which we didn't really ever do much with. But Sprayberry Travel did really well. And we started this was, kind of in the wake of a lot of changes in the travel industry, shall we say. And we started the nation's first frequent flyer program for customers of a travel agency in '83. And by '84, it was growing really rapidly. We paid our employees well. Our employees were mostly childbearing age women who had kids. These were the people who were by and large travel agents back then. I don't know about today. Haven't really checked in with the industry in a few decades. And by '85, we were doing. We paid well. We ran our own daycare center, so that we could provide free daycare for our employees, so that they could be with their kids. And it was a good business. And at some point, Louise and I, kind of the history of our life has been that, every 5 or 10 years, we basically we'd start a business, build it up, sell it off, take a couple of years off, and then go back and start something else. And what we had started before this business was a community for abused children that we started in 1978 in New Hampshire. The Hunter School, the Salem Children's Village, hunterschool.org, salemchildrensvillage.org. You can see the websites. We started that in '78, and we stayed there until '83. And then in '83, we moved to Atlanta, and we were basically out of money. We had sold a business in '78 in Michigan, the Woodley Erber Company and American Marketing Centers. And with that, with the money that we got from that, we started the Community for Abused Kids. And then we kind of burned through that, taking $25 a week for 5 years. We were broke. So with using my $10,000 or $15,000, I don't remember which. I think it was $10,000 line of credit from American Express. And with a couple of partners, we started this little travel agency in Atlanta. And it did really well. And in fact, by '86, by the third year, we had applied some pretty good marketing principles to what we were doing. I was teaching other travel agencies how to do this. A couple of cruise lines, Carnival and Crown, had hired me to go on ships and teach travel agents how to make travel agencies successful, writing articles for industry publications. And we decided to sell the company and move to Europe and take a year off and put our kids in the German public school and live at this international charity that we had been volunteering our time for since 1978. SalemInternational.org is that, if you want to check that out. And which we did. We moved to Germany in '86, June of '86. And I pointed out on the air that we had really planned on doing it a few years later, and we probably should have, in retrospect. So from the time we sold that agency, it was doing about $6 million a year when we sold it, and it's done over $250 million, over $250 million a year in business since we sold it, and it recently merged with I think last year or the year before, I talked about on the air, there was a little news ticker story that came across, merged with a multi-billion-dollar travel agency. And so had we just kept that company and kept running it, I'd probably be very wealthy right now. But in any case, in '86, Reagan had, back in '81, Reagan had dropped the top capital gains rate down to 20%, which was insanely low. It's back Herbert Hoover territory. And in '81 and in '86, he was raising it back up to 28%. And so, our CPA said, if you're going to sell this business, you should sell it now and get the old capital gains rate, the 20% rate, rather than sell it later and pay 28%. And that would have meant, a fair amount of money, as I said on the air, tens of thousands of dollars for Louise and I. We weren't talking about gazillions. We weren't the Koch brothers or anything like that. But it was still to us a lot of money. And so we sold the company in 86. And somehow Jack Coleman thinks that, well, the headline is, did Reagan hater Thom Hartmann benefit from Reagan tax cut? Arguably, yes, because I was a business owner. But that was my whole point. The class of business owners benefited from the Reagan tax cuts. It was, at that point, I was one of the rich people. I mean, we walked away with enough money that we could live in Europe for a year with 3 kids and then come back to the United States and start a brand new business from scratch, which we did in 87. We moved back to Atlanta and we started an advertising agency. So A, and B, and perhaps more importantly, had that capital gains tax not been being jacked around up, down, whichever way, had it always been at, say, 50%, I'd probably still own that company. It would not have made flipping companies a useful thing, whether it's for entrepreneurs or whether it was for, who's the guy who went after TWA, some of these, or the Mitt Romneys of the world. I mean, whatever. And I think, people holding companies is a good and valuable thing, keeping them in their family. We just don't have family-owned businesses in America anymore. Yeah, Carl Icahn, yeah. I mean, and he was all over this kind of stuff around that time. And whenever the capital gains tax would change, he would be buying or selling a business. And so I think, Jack, you're making my point. And thank you for making it over at newsbusters.org. And hopefully some people will figure this out, that, yeah, the Reagan tax cuts help rich people like I was then, or the ownership class, shall we say, the employer class, and they didn't do much for my employees at all. I mean, we just took the money and ran. And in fact, I believe, I could be wrong, but I would be surprised, let me put it this way. I would be surprised if the multi-billion-dollar travel agency that now owns Sprayberry Travel, the company that Louise and I started, still offers the benefits that we did when we owned it. We had full health insurance for our employees, which we paid 100% of. We had in-house daycare, which we paid 100% of. We brought in food a lot of the time. We paid for a lot of people's meals. We paid above the industry average because we wanted people who would stay with us for years, and we did. I mean, we only owned the business for 3.5 years from the time we started until the time we sold it. But when we sold it, at least half of our employees were the people that we started it with. So I doubt that that's the case now that it's part of a giant conglomerate. I would bet that the benefits have been cut, the wages have been cut, the daycare is long gone. So, Jack, thanks for making my point.